I want to start this today by asking a question. And this question, it may feel uncomfortable. If you looked completely different tomorrow, would you still believe that you were worthy of love? Not attention, not compliments, not attraction, guys. I mean love. If age changed your face, or if illness changed your body, if an accident came along and left scars, if beauty as the world defines it disappeared, would something inside of you begin to wonder, would anyone still choose me? And for many people, guys, this question immediately awakens fear. And it's not because they're vain, it's not because they care too much about appearances, but because somewhere in their life, they quietly learned that beauty wasn't just admired, it's rewarded. It received more attention, more affection, more approval, more opportunities, or in some cases, more validation. And without realizing it, they began to believe that the more beautiful I become, the more lovable I become. So I think today we're going to uncover one of the deepest and most hidden conditions of love, and that is beauty. Beauty as a condition of love. Because the wound isn't beauty itself, guys. The wound is believing that beauty determines our worthiness to receive love. So I want you to be completely honest with yourself. Have you ever looked in the mirror and immediately you start judging yourself? I think this is something that a lot of us do. And maybe you've even thought things like, I'd be happier if I lost weight, or I'd finally feel confident in my skin if it was clearer, if I looked younger, if I were taller, if I were thinner, if I looked like them. And maybe you've avoided taking pictures, or maybe you've hidden behind oversized clothes, or maybe compared yourself. And I think a lot of people do this, is we compare ourselves to strangers on social media. Maybe you've looked at someone else and quietly just thought, no wonder they're loved. I want you to ask yourself something even deeper and be honest with yourself. Where did you learn that? Because I'm going to be honest with you, no child enters the world believing that their value depends on their appearance. Children they don't just compare wrinkles, or, they don't worry about weight. They don't analyze symmetry. Those beliefs are learned. And sometimes they are taught directly. Sometimes it's silently. A girl hears, you're so pretty, over and over, and a boy hears, you're so handsome. And family members celebrate appearance. Teachers notice attractive teacher, or teachers notice attractive children, which is definitely wrong, but friends comment on our bodies. Television reinforces the message, guys. Advertisements reinforce the message. Social media definitely magnifies it. And then slowly the child begins making these emotional associations. And it's really that beauty creates attention, or attention feels like love. But there is something subtle that begins to happen, guys. Instead of beauty becoming something a person has, it becomes something that they believe they are. Or worse, something they believe they must maintain. Now, every mirror becomes a measurement, guys. Every photograph starts becoming an evaluation. Every birthday becomes a reminder that time is passing. The body really stops being a home and it becomes this project. And that project is never finished. So most conditioning doesn't sound cruel, it sounds ordinary. You'd be so pretty if, you've lost weight, you look amazing. You clean up so well. You'd be beautiful if you smiled more. Don't let yourself go. These comments may seem harmless, guys, but to a child's nervous system, they create an equation. Beauty equals approval, and approval equals belonging, and belonging equals safety. So comparison is one of the first symptoms of this wound. You stop asking, who am I? And begin asking, how do I measure up? Guys, every room that you walk into becomes a competition. Every social media feed becomes a scoreboard. And if you're saying, well, I don't know about that, likes, comments, how many views did it get? All of it, guys, it's a scoreboard. And every reflection starts becoming an opportunity to find flaws. Not because you're shallow, I promise you. It's because your nervous system has learned that appearance influences acceptance. I want to take this a little bit deeper, guys, because this wound is rarely about beauty. It's about fear. And it is the fear of rejection. There's a fear of abandonment. There's a fear of becoming invisible. So the fear that if your appearance changes, love will disappear with it. So that, guys, this is why aging can feel so emotionally threatening for a lot of people. It's not because of the wrinkles. It's because many people quietly wonder, if I'm no longer beautiful, am I still worthy of being chosen? In a conditionally loving world, beauty often becomes currency, and people receive compliments, attention, opportunities, validation. Sometimes it's kindness, because of appearance. So this doesn't mean beauty is wrong. I don't want you guys to think that. It just means that the human mind begins confusing being noticed with actually being loved. They're not the same thing, guys. And if you look at our adult relationships, if you're on here healing childhood wounds, then you understand how this affects your adult relationships. Somebody who is conditioned by this wound may actually constantly seek reassurance. Ask, do I still look attractive? Or fear that their partner finding someone better. What if they leave me for somebody better? We even compare ourselves to their exes. Do I measure up? Do I look better? We feel threatened by younger or more conventionally attractive people. So we obsess over appearance before every date. Or we stay in unhealthy relationships because they secretly believe that no one else would choose me. I want you to notice what they're really protecting. It's not beauty, but belonging. And social media amplifies this wound. Because we do live in a world where appearance is constantly measured, likes, filters, editing, comparison. Algorithms reward attention. And that's what I was saying earlier, guys. Attention often rewards the appearance. And without realizing it, many people begin outsourcing their worth to strangers. They feel beautiful only when someone else confirms it. And this creates a dangerous cycle. Validation becomes temporary. So the insecurity starts returning and the search begins again. Now, if you look at the inner child, guys, I want you to imagine the little girl standing in front of a mirror, or a little boy comparing themselves to others. Neither child is asking to become perfect. They're asking something much simpler. Will someone still love me if I don't look like everyone else? Guys, that's the real wound. Beauty exists everywhere in creation. A flower is beautiful. Mountains are beautiful. An elderly tree is beautiful. A newborn baby is beautiful. And none of these are trying to become beautiful, guys. They just simply express what they are. Human beings are the only part of creation taught that beauty determines your worth. Now I want to step into this a little bit deeper, guys, because your soul has never been measured by your appearance. I promise you, consciousness has no wrinkles. Presence has no body type. And I promise you that love has no dress size. The essence of who you are has never aged. Only the body has. You see, attraction is natural. It is a part of being human. But attraction is not the same as worth. Someone may find you attractive. Someone else may not. Neither changes your value. Worth is intrinsic. Attraction is subjective. And when we confuse these two, our self-esteem becomes dependent on other people's preferences. And healing doesn't mean rejecting beauty. It means changing your relationship with it. So instead of asking, how does my body look? Start waking up, or at the end of the day, say, how has my body loved me today? Because it carried you. It breathed for you. It healed wounds. It allowed you to laugh, to cry, to embrace somebody, and even walk beneath the sun. You see, your body has spent your entire life serving you, and perhaps it deserves gratitude more than criticism. So as you awaken, you begin noticing something remarkable, guys. Some people are breathtakingly beautiful because of how they look, and others become unforgettable simply because of how they make you feel. Their kindness, their peace, their compassion, their authenticity, and their presence. And those qualities never fade with age. In fact, they often become more beautiful over time. So if you want to heal, notice your internal dialogue. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself when you look in the mirror. Would you speak that way to a child? And if the answer is no, then why are you speaking to yourself that way? The second thing is separate your appearance from your worth, because when insecurity arises, I want you to gently remind yourself that my appearance may change, but my value does not. Reduce comparison. Comparison steals your attention from your own life, guys. And every moment spent measuring yourself against someone else is a moment that you're not fully inhabiting who you are. And practice seeing beauty beyond appearance, guys. Each day, I want you to notice beauty that has nothing to do with your physical appearance. You know, kind gestures, a patient heart, a genuine smile, a peaceful presence. I want you to train your mind to recognize beauty in essence and not just in physical form. Because the deeper truth is this, that beauty was never meant to become this condition for receiving love. Beauty is something to appreciate. It's not something that we have to worship. And it's not something to build your identity upon. Because everything in the physical world changes. The body is going to change. Your face is going to change. Even the seasons change. But the deepest part of you, the awareness, experiencing all of it, that remains. And this is where your worth has always lived. So today I want you to ask 3 questions. If no one ever commented on my appearance again, would I still know my worth? And who taught you that beauty determined your value? What would my life feel like if I believed I was already worthy before changing a single thing about myself? And sit with those questions, not to criticize yourself, but to meet the younger part of you that quietly believed that love depended on looking a certain way. And if today's lesson resonated with you, I want you to remember this. Because throughout the conditions of love, we've been uncovering these invisible agreements that we have made that have shaped our understanding of love. You know, maybe today's agreement may be one of the most pervasive. I will be more worthy of love when I become more beautiful. Guys, that agreement was never the truth. That was conditioning. Real love doesn't deepen because your appearance is flawless. It deepens because your heart becomes more open, your presence more authentic, your compassion more profound, and your spirit becomes more alive. Because the greatest beauty you will ever cultivate is not the beauty that asks to be admired. It is the beauty that allows another person to feel safe, to feel seen, and deeply loved in your presence. And that kind of beauty, it never fades.